experience with it.
Yeah, and it's just fun to meet new people who play different instruments. Because I mean, I usually like most of the time I just like do solo
Mhm.
because that's what I do.
Piano,
Um,
yeah.
but it's always fun to like meet people from like different instruments and you like play with them together. Really get to know how like other instruments sound, how they work.
Oh, absolutely. I totally appreciate that. It's when I was a kid, I was such a nerd about music. I mean, it really was my entire world. I dressed up as Mozart for Halloween. Suffice it to say, I was not the most popular child in school. And I remember the first time I went to piano camp. I just looked around and there were all these kids who had all the same interest as me. And I was just like, I have found my people. And it was just so much fun. And, it's now, I always try to keep a little bit of piano camp in my life. So
Yeah. Um, do you ever experience stress before going on stage?
very, very often. It's something that I've actually struggled with quite a lot in my career. It's performing, and especially like when you're in a big orchestra and you play a role like the oboist, where you are often, pretty featured, and you do often have a pretty prominent part in orchestral music. It's really stressful. It's, you don't want to let down your friends. You want to do the best job that you can. You want to do justice to this wonderful music that you love so much. And it really is easy to get caught up in distress, to get imposter syndrome. You know what that is? It's like thinking, oh my gosh, I don't really deserve to be doing this. Um, the best things that I've found in my life to sort of combat that is, again, reminding myself that, yes, this is supposed to be fun. And then also just making sure that my body is in good shape. It's playing music is a very athletic experience. You don't necessarily realize that. We use very different muscles than a lot of like Olympic athletes and stuff like that. But the teeny little muscles we use in our hands and in our faces and everything else, those muscles behave the same way as muscles for athletes. And so things like, before a big performance, getting a good night's sleep, eating a really healthy meal, making sure that you're hydrated, it's really simple stuff. But if your body is in good shape, your mind kind of follows that. And if your body is in good shape, it's sort of one less thing for your brain to worry about, sort of subconsciously, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you do everything you can do in advance to make sure that you are in the best shape, both mentally, physically, and in terms of preparation for the performance, you can then go into it knowing I've done the work, I'm ready, let's go.
And kind of tying into that, is there like a specific pre-show routine um that you follow before going on stage?
Yes, actually. It's especially if it's something that I'm really nervous about, if I'm going in for an audition or something like that, or if it's, a big performance that I'm really worried about. A lot of the time I'll sit in my car beforehand and I'll eat a banana. And the reason for that is bananas actually have an enzyme that calms you down a little bit and helps you fight adrenaline. So I'll sit in my car, I'll eat a banana, and I'll listen to something completely different. I'll listen to a recording of my cousin's band, or I'll just listen to something fun, just to kind of get myself in that mind frame, and set myself up for it.
Yeah.
You want to go into a scary performance in a good mood. That always helps.
Yeah, I feel like everybody I know, like we all have like similar kind of pre-shows, but it's also so different because I know people that like they'll pace before.
Mhm.
I don't really know what I do. I jump and like I
Okay.
shake my hands to like warm them up a
That's good
bunch.
though. Like get energy out. I
Yeah.
totally understand that.
Hmm. So it's always like so fun to see like what everybody else does and kind of, maybe steal some tips and tricks from
Exactly.
them.
Yeah, you might find something that works really well for you. Try eating a banana and listening to fun music. Maybe it'll work for you.
Okay. I'll definitely try that before my next performance.
Awesome.
Um, yeah. So what is your favorite piece to play?
Oh gosh, I knew you were going to ask me that, and I can't answer that. The best I can narrow this down is right now. I really, really, really enjoy playing Puccini operas and Mahler symphonies. And do not ask me to get more specific than that because I can't. That's like Sophie's choice. I can't. That's like choosing my favorite child.
Are you a composer?
I am not. I just don't have that skill. It's just not, it's a whole separate type of intelligence that I just don't have. And that's fine. I do really enjoy sort of stealing works that were written for other instruments and sort of arranging them for various combination of oboes. And I've done that quite a lot. I played a cello sonata for one of my recitals when I was in school, for example, and I had to make a little bit of tweak to the score, but not too bad. So things like that. But no, beyond that, I do not compose at all.
So you just like kind of mainly take something and like transpose it over.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Sometimes
kind of
I,
fun. I do that a lot.
yeah, sometimes I do that. I'll just like take, I don't know, so my sister's violin music and I'll just, or for the chamber music also, like I'll take the violin parts and I'll just play them to like kind of see what they're playing. Also
Exactly. It's
helps
so
me
much
gain an
fun.
understanding.
That's awesome that you're doing that. That's great. Yeah, I mean, it's also just fun to like just do something totally different every once in a while. We practice so much for the things that we have coming up that sometimes we forget to just play. And so
Yeah.
every once in a while, I try to devote a practice session to nothing that I'm actually working on and just things that I want to play. And it could be something written for another instrument. It could be, whatever. But just things that make me happy because, we work really hard at this stuff. And the point is to enjoy it. And so it's important to remind yourself to do that every once in a while.
Yeah, I also do that. I'll just like if I'm not feeling like really working on or whatever I'm playing, I'll just go through my book and see like what other pieces there are and just sight read them,
Like read
see what
something
they're like.
new or, play an old favorite that you always really loved to play. I mean, whatever. So,
Um, what are some of your other interests outside of music?
I don't have many of them because this really does take most of my time. I do have a day job. And so I've had to make some sacrifices in my life. I don't have children. I'm not married. It's sort of oboe is my family a little bit. When I'm not working and when I'm not doing something related to music, I really love just going out and doing random things that might be cool. My partner and I go to a lot of sporting events. We love the San Jose Sharks and the San Francisco Giants, but we also just love doing random stuff. Like we'll just randomly go out one night and go axe throwing. Or we'll take an ATV tour in the mountains and just like drive around in an ATV in the mountains. Whatever, just like something outside, something different, that kind of thing.
That sounds fun. Um, I guess we've already kind of touched on this, but like, what is one of your favorite parts of playing music?
I mean, for me, it's like a language almost. Especially I've been doing this literally my entire life. I learned how to read music practically before I knew how to read words. And it's sort of, I see it as an opportunity to practice that language and to speak that language with other people, especially who also speak it. It's music is a very social experience for me. Some of my dearest friends I see at work, at rehearsals when I go after my day job. It's kind of like what you said about being in chamber music camp and seeing, all these other people who have these same interests. It's very much like that for me too. I go to rehearsals and you get to put everything else away and just focus on this other part of your brain in this other language. That's something you really love.
Yeah. Um, if you could have like one or maybe at least like some musicians to collaborate with, who would it be?
Do they have, is this like a living or dead or anybody literally, or like, what are the parameters here?
Anybody.
Okay. Anybody, I would definitely, I mean, Gustav Mahler would be number one. I would say, Mahler, you're amazing. I love you. You need to write an oboe sonata. We'll play it together. He played piano, like whatever. That would be my dream, if I had to really pick.
And then last but not least, what is some advice that you would like to give to someone who wants to, start playing the oboe or yeah.
So that's a really, really, really good question. The most important part of starting to play the oboe is to have a private teacher who actually specializes in oboe. Um, Oboe has a lot of idiosyncrasies, especially with these ridiculous reeds that we talked about earlier. It's very, very important to begin learning the oboe with someone who really knows what they're doing. Because otherwise it can be an extremely frustrating experience and you're not going to have fun with it unless you're learning from someone who really knows what they're doing. Beyond that, having nothing to do with oboes, just my advice for young musicians in general. Number one, don't get caught up in the stress of it. You're doing this because it is theoretically something you really enjoy, and do not ever, ever, ever lose that. yeah, that's the most important thing for me.
Well, that's all my questions for today, and thank you again so much for doing this
Oh, you're so
interview with me.
welcome, Mira. This was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. It was great to chat with you a little bit. And yeah, good luck with your project. And definitely good luck with piano. And if you do ever decide that you want to take oboe lessons, let me know.